Hey guys, welcome to Arsenal Fan TV, and this is the preview for the game this Sunday, the massive clash between Arsenal and Tottenham, the North London derby, a game I'm very much looking forward to. We've just suffered a 5-1 mauling at the hands of Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and although Bayern Munich are far superior to Tottenham Hotspur, Spurs aren't a team we can write off. No matter how much you hate them, they have been fairly decent this season. I think anyone can admit that they've done fairly well. They've just lost one game in the Barclays Premier League, and that was on the opening day away from home at Old Trafford. So they have done well this season. Harry Kane is coming into a bit of form. Moussa Dembele is also a player that's starting to light up the scene a little bit lately, and they're looking like a very compact team. They've got a very good defensive record in the league as well. Toby Alderweireld, their new signing in the summer, lining up with Jan Vertonghen, possibly one of the strongest centre-back partnerships in the league at this moment in time. It remains to be seen whether those two can do it over the course of a season. But a very robust team, working well as a unit, and Pochettino really does seem to be knowing what he's doing with this Tottenham Hotspur side. So I think this is possibly one of the best Spurs sides that we've come up against in a while. I don't really want to take into account the 2-1 victory we had at the Lane earlier in the season. That was the Capital One Cup. Flamini scored twice, so whether you take that game into account or not, completely up to you. But it's not a game that I'm going to pay too much attention to, focusing in this game, which I see is much more relevant. So it's not going to be an easy game for us by any means, and given the injury list that we've got, and it's just absolutely devastating news that Hector Bellerin is going to be out of this game. We saw how much we missed him in the fixture at the Allianz. He brings so much to the way we go forward, and also in a defensive capacity. And I worry more about Debuchy playing this game than I do about missing Bellerin, because we don't really have a sufficient right back at the moment to come in and do a job. People have been saying play Callum Chambers there. That's not something that I would toy with too much. He didn't seem to do a good job there last season. Debuchy just looks completely unmotivated. He doesn't look like he wants to be there. Had a great chance to prove a point to the manager in midweek, but completely didn't take it. He was absolutely destroyed by Douglas Costa and David Alaba in that game, and it really does worry me what someone like Chadley, Harry Kane, etc. could do to him in this fixture. He just seems to lose all balance in our defence, and if he's lining up alongside Per Mertesacker, if Koscielny's not fit, then we really do have a problem, because Debuchy and Mertesacker are lining up in the same team. Severe lack of pace, and the two just don't complement each other in any way, shape or form. So the back line for me, it's a really tough one to call. I mean, obviously I think you go Koscielny, Gabriel, Monreal, but it's got to be Debuchy in the right back position. You could possibly play Mertesacker in this game and play Gabriel at right back, but would that be taking a slight risk? I don't know. Get your thoughts on that in the comments box below. But I don't like having unmotivated players starting in the 11, and Debuchy really is striking me as that type of player at the moment. And just ability to perform is so unbelievably under par, and he's so low on confidence. So I'm not too sure I want to see him in the starting 11. But it's a huge game for us, of course, especially so for Joel Campbell. And one thing that I felt hindered his game at Bayern Munich was the fact that him and Debuchy didn't seem to link up well on that right-hand side. It really does concern me how Tottenham can exploit that right-hand side of us in this game. With Joel Campbell offering little protection to Debuchy at the Allianz, that really does concern me in a way, and I'd hope he'd up his defensive work rate. He was splendid in the game at the Liberty Stadium last weekend, got himself a goal. I'd hope he'd bring that form and that defensive work into this game against Tottenham, where it's going to be a very intense game, and he's going to need to be at the top of it. As well as that, Mesut Ozil pulling the strings in midfield behind Olivier Giroud. Both of these two players are absolutely banging form, and despite the hefty loss at the Allianz in midweek, these two really did perform in that game, it has to be said. Giroud getting the goal, Ozil pulling the strings in midfield, and even though we were absolutely trampled in that game, they still played to what you would expect them to. They really did play to what they're capable of. Alexis Sanchez, point for him to prove in this game, I feel, has been a little bit off the boil recently. He really does show the work rate as ever, but he really has been, one thing I've noticed with Sanchez especially is that he tends to be running into players quite a lot, giving away possession. I just want him to play a kind of safe game in this. I'd like him to get a goal, have that freedom to express himself, and hopefully he can get himself on the score sheet. But it's a huge game for the whole team, that goes without saying, and we've got a real test given the amount of injuries in our squad and given how strong Spurs have been this season. But if there's any team we're capable of beating when we're down, Spurs is that go-to team. We did it, I remember back in 2012 or whatever, when we went on a terrible run of form. We just looked like we weren't going to even get close to finishing in the top four. Then we went and banged Spurs 5-2. So hopefully we can do something similar in this game, hopefully by a similar scoreline. But get your thoughts on this game in the comments box below. Please do like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV if you're new. And as always, we'll be speaking to you soon.